Did you guys know that Adrian Peterson is the first player in NFL history to score a rushing touchdown for 6 different teams? Hell, he's had 2 just this year. Colmsy, cue that intro.
Are you ready for the best damn sports radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that while I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut you short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Blackasha here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and be sure to check out the merchandise page. We have the Beastie merch. We got the Man Hour original logo merch over there. And of course, guys, we have the Takeaway 22 shirts as well. As you guys know here, we are promoting those shirts very, very highly here as of late because 22 soldiers or veterans commit suicide each and every day, guys, and that is way too many. So all proceeds from those shirts, hoodies, beanies, long sleeve tees, all that we have the Takeaway 22 merch on goes to a nonprofit organization to get veterans to and from medical appointments, help them with like their meds, and just gives them somebody to talk to. Also clothes them and house them as well. So they are doing great things over there. And guys, drop some support. Their link is in the description here at youtube.com/Man Hour. Also, guys, if you are new here, consider subscribing and of course hit that bell icon because we do upload the clips each and every day out there at youtube.com/Man Hour. We do guys an action-packed show tonight. We're going to talk some Steelers, Vikings, some Thursday night football coming up here tomorrow. We got the college football playoffs. We got to talk about that. Of course, we got the NFL power rankings as well. But first, before we get too carried away, we have to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, the KFG himself, the peanut butter to my ladies, the peas to my bananas, Mr. Brandon Beastie Combs. What's up, Combsy? Oh, you have it. Yeah. Hockey. Macy Days Parade. The Bulls, what?
Get back into it, man. The Bulls look so damn good right now. They look good. I really like this IO kid. I think that the Bulls are probably the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference right now.
You know, Combs, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front. I have only watched college basketball. I haven't watched any NBA games because LeBron James, the GOAT, has straight pissed me off. And it just, I cannot get into NBA right now. But guys, we do have some people jumping up in the chat. I see my man Gunner Poor. We just had some Mexican. We were doing great things, eating some Mexicano. They're out there looking at Christmas lights. Cindy is pissed off at me, by the way, because I put off going to go see Christmas lights to do Man Hour with my man. So we do see Drew in there. We see Michelle. We can't hear Brandon because Let's Go Brandon is muted. Sorry, Brandon, my bad. We literally just talked about this pre-show. Make sure I'm not muted, and I guess what? You were muted.
I said right before we
literally
went live,
said it. Yeah.
Make sure I'm not muted.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not. We also see Alpha Rob jumping up in the chat here. If Combs, fresh my memory, but Alpha Rob is a Bills fan, right?
Alpha Rob is a Bills fan.
Yeah. He has been pretty upset, Combs, all week about the Monday night outcome.
I don't blame him. What the decade? Look, it was very, very windy. It was very, very cold. It was very, very rainy. The problem is it was very, very cold, very, very windy, and very, very rainy for both teams.
Yeah.
So you don't really have an excuse at the end of the day if you're the Buffalo Bills. I hear it a lot. They're talking about, even their head coach came out and said, "Oh, you can't give Bill Belichick too much credit." I'm giving Bill Belichick a ton of credit for what he's doing with this football team.
As we
The
should.
Buffalo Bills, if you're the Buffalo Bills head coach, what you need to be worried about is not how much credit Bill Belichick is getting, but how poor of a job you are doing with this team. This is a much better team than 7-5.
The
much
Bills?
better team than
The
7-5,
Bills?
and they haven't been ready to play in over a month. It's been since October 4th since they've won 2 games in a row.
Well, ever since that Tennessee game where their pride got taken away from them when King Henry ran all over them, they haven't been the same. So
yeah,
it is kind of like Ronda Rousey when she got knocked out. Like she was never the same fighter again. I wonder if since the Bills got knocked out, they aren't the same team anymore. They're kind of scared. I don't know.
I don't think that that's what it is. I just think that they are. There's a lot of mistakes on this team. Watching this game on Monday night, there was just a lot of mistakes, a lot of undisciplined mistakes, and that allowed New England, because New England's not that team. New England's not going to be undisciplined. You can't play undisciplined football against New England. A Bill Belichick-led team is not going to play that type of football. And when you get yourself in trouble, when you have drop passes, as they did, I believe it was Diggs who dropped. I mean, dude, he was wide open.
Yeah, that's
wide open. Would have put 7 on the board. That kills you. And this team, they played undisciplined football. They weren't the better team that night. Look, they've got a couple of weeks to come. It's not any easier. Alfred Rob's not going to be any happier after this Sunday because they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, well, a Bucs team that
they're going to.
Good.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to beat Tampa Bay. I just, not the way they're playing right now. They're about to lose 2 in a row.
Yeah, and like I said last night, if the Bills lose to the Bucs bad, like a very ugly loss, we're talking like 40-10 type of score, the Bills won't make the playoffs. So mark my words there. So
yeah.
So guys,
the worst part is Wayne G is being proven right.
Yeah, he is. Doesn't that make you sick when like you're crazy, especially Wayne G, because he is somebody that would just like will not let it go. Like, hey, I told you, Combsy.
I thought he was just as crazy as you are with your Lions prediction, and it was I'm eating crow on this one. Wayne G was probably right about this one. Yeah,
he was definitely spot on that. But speaking of being spot on, and we've been talking about killing and Combs, Tiger Woods could have easily lost his life back in February, but he has rehabbed those broken legs. He is like he is coming back. He's hitting the ball good, and he is playing with his son Charlie at the PNC Open this weekend. So with that being said, Combs, we are going to propose this question. Does the PGA, does golf in general still need Tiger Woods to be an active part of the golf community?
This is such a tough question for me because look, Tiger Woods is the reason why I got into golf. Tiger Woods is the reason why I started watching golf. Tiger Woods is the reason why I started playing golf. Even though I'm still not very good, Tiger Woods is a big reason for that. However, the game has tried to move past Tiger Woods, right? The game has tried to do things and bring on new guys. You had Rory McIlroy, you had Phil Mickelson, you had all sorts of guys that could have carried the throne, and it just hasn't happened. Nobody's been as polarizing or as much fun to watch on a golf course as Tiger Woods in his prime was.
Right.
So I don't know that they still need Tiger Woods in his prime per se, but they still need the name Tiger Woods to be around some of these tournaments, whether it's him getting together with his son playing as a team. They finished 7th in this. They played this last year. His son's only 12 years old.
Yeah.
His son's 12 years old. And he's a freaking 100 times better golfer than I'll ever be. It's sick.
Yeah.
But you go into these things and you get to play with your son and you do the things that you do because Tiger's playing in this, people are going to watch. I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
And it's because Tiger's playing in this. Now, moving forward, do we want to see Tiger Woods in major championships and missing the cut, or do we want to see Tiger Woods in tournaments and barely making the cut and not even being relevant during the weekend? No, but I think golf still needs Tiger Woods to be present, and whether that's in the booth or whether that is as a mentor to some golfers or whatever the case is, you need to see Tiger Woods somewhere around the golf and having some sort of personality inside of the events, because like I said, just Tiger Woods alone is going to put butts in the seats, it's going to put eyes on the TVs, it's going to keep you relevant. Golf is interesting, right? Because we talk all the time, right? Baseball's in its little strike right now, or lockout, and we're going to talk about that more tomorrow with our boy RC. But we talk about can baseball sustain another work stoppage where we're missing games or missing playoffs or even another World Series as we did in 1994, right? We don't think baseball could survive that. My question with golf is, can it survive a world where Tiger Woods is not present? And I don't know that it can. I don't know that it's as exciting. I don't know that it's as polarizing. They don't have anybody that can carry that torch, I don't think. Do you?
The only person that recently comes to mind is probably Roy McIlroy, if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
Just because, like, he was supposed to be the next Tiger Woods, right? Like, was it 3 years ago when he won his first major, and like him and Tiger were kind of battling on Sunday, and we kind of saw like a passing of the torch type of thing per se, but like then he was never that dominant figure like Tiger Woods was. The reason why I think we liked Tiger Woods is just because, for one, he was so dominant, right? He won like 18 majors, right? And like, if you watch the other sports shows, they would say, hey, do you want Tiger Woods or do you want the field? And we'd always say, we want Tiger Woods. Of course, why would we not want Woods, right? So right now there are passionate golf fans out there, Combs. Like, there are those golf fans that, they know who Jay Thomas is. They know who T Fina is, or H English, right? I don't know those guys. Like, I'm not a big golf fan, but like what you said, when Tiger Woods was there on Sunday afternoon in his red shirt, we tuned in to watch. Because because I am going to take a line from Drew here in the chat from youtube.com/manhour. He says Tiger Woods is to golf as LeBron James is to the NBA. There are two GOATs right there in the same sentence, and arguably LeBron James was the most dominant player in the NBA. I mean, maybe not so much now, but probably for like a 5-6 year stretch. Like, he was the dominant guy, right? And Tiger Woods was very, very dominant. So to answer your question, can golf survive without Tiger Woods? Yes, because they did it for the last, 4 years, right? When like he's been in and out, and I mean, like, granted, the viewership may not be there for like our casual fans, just like myself, but you still have those passionate older generation fans, or even younger people that will watch golf no matter what. So golf will be perfectly fine, but Tiger Woods needs to be in like a celebrity role, right. Like, how they have like the celebrity softball game for the Major League All-Star game, kind of just like that. Like, he's making a guest appearance to play a 9-hole course, basically.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, you had guys like Rory McIlroy, who, I mean, when he burst on the scene in 2010 with that Quail Hollow win over Phil Mickelson, right? That was supposed to be the new age Tiger Woods, right? This was supposed to be the kid that was supposed to carry the torch. And, he's had a couple of wins here and there. He had quite a few in 2012, a couple in 2014. Kind of fell off the map until 2019. I think he had like 4 or 5 tour wins. And then after 2019, he didn't have another tour win until May of this past year when he won the Wells Fargo and the CJ Cup. Like, and even those wins, those are not premier wins. Those are not wins that you look at him and be like, wow, this guy's like, he's not competing in the Open, he's not competing in the U.S. Open, he's not competing in the PGA Championship, and excuse me, and for these things to for him to get back into the sport of golf and to try to carry on a role like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, it was one of those things where people would have the bet prior to the weekend starting, you're taking Tiger Woods or the field, right? And it was just like going into a Super Bowl. There was no way you were betting against Tom Brady. There was no way you were taking the field over Tiger Woods because he was in every event all the way up until the end. And we haven't seen anything like that since. We haven't seen a guy like that since. We look at guys that were supposed to take the throne. We talk about guys like Phil Mickelson, who's been a great golfer. The lefty, I mean, he's been a great golfer his entire career. He's won a lot of tournaments. We all remember last year, cheering him on and watching the fans who were finally back on the golf course chase him down as he's winning the Open. But then we were looking at, guys like Ricky Fowler, Sergio Garcia. I'm trying to think of a couple other guys coming to mind. You look at Webb Simpson, Bryson DeChambeau, Jim Furyk. Guys like that, Xander I can't always pronounce his last name, Scheffele or Schofel.
No clue. You're talking to the wrong person, Combs.
Yeah, guys like that, you hope for to see something where you're looking at guys that can carry the torch, guys that can, draw the interest again. And they draw interest, but it's just not the same. It's not Tiger. Like, Tiger swept the world. Tiger was Michael Jordan. And it's going to be hard to find that again. They need their LeBron James, right? The PGA needs their LeBron James. They need their next guy where they can be like, wow, is this guy as good as Tiger Woods or not? So we can always have that debate, right? That's what golf needs right now, and they don't have it.
Yeah. So one thing we do have is a college football playoff system that seems to be flawed at best, Combs. So as you guys know by now, Georgia is in there, Michigan, Alabama, of course, and then, of course, the Cincinnati Bearcats slid in there somehow, some way. So, Combs, with this...
Somehow, some way. They're the only undefeated team in the Power 5.
Exactly. No, they're not even a Power 5, Combs. They're a mid-major.
They should be.
They will be in Power 5 2025 to come into the Big 12, baby. Let's go. But, Combs... when you don't see teams like Notre Dame in there, you're Fighting Irish or Ohio State, and we see a team like Alabama in there every year. We see Georgia in there every year. We have a couple new bloods in there, but we still had the big names in there. What are your first initial thoughts when you saw this college football bracket? Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised at the 4 teams, right? Because as soon as Alabama went in with one loss, but then won the SEC title, I knew for a fact that Alabama and Georgia were both still going to be in. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, taking a 1 seed who lost to a 3 seed and not moving them outside of the top 4, right? But Alabama shouldn't have even been the 3 seed at that point. That loss to Texas A&M, dropping them only down from 1 to 5, was an absolute joke. The fact that they've had 3 games against unranked teams where they struggled to win or needed overtime or 4 overtimes to win those games shows to me that they aren't even a top 5 team in the country right now. But that being said, they won the SEC title. And everybody knew Alabama was going to be in there. I have no problem with it being Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, and Cincinnati, right? Those 4 teams deserve to be in it. Notre Dame has proven year in and year out that they're good enough to go 10-1, 11-1, 12-0, whatever they do, but still not good enough to compete with the the SEC foe, right? Hopefully that changes here under new coaching and new leadership. I think they've got a guy now that can really change the culture of this program and possibly bring a national championship. But they didn't deserve to be there. So then I even called this before they came out. Like, I was talking with Mike Reeves, our boy over there with Twist, and I said, look, it doesn't surprise me that these are going to be the top 4, but what they need to do is make it so that Alabama and Georgia are ranked 2 and 3, and Michigan and Cincinnati are ranked 1 and 4. because you make that if you go any other way, all you're trying to do is get that Alabama versus Georgia rematch for the title. That's what you want to see, an all SEC championship, so you could say, hey, the national title came from the SEC again, right? So now they come out and they have Alabama at 1, who jumps Michigan, which is absolutely asinine to me. You have Michigan at number 2. You have Georgia at 3 and Cincy at 4. So Alabama's going to play Georgia, or Alabama's going to play Cincy, and Michigan's going to play Georgia. I don't think Alabama's that good. I think Cincinnati has a real chance to beat this Alabama team. This defense isn't what the Alabama teams have been. And I think the Cincinnati Bearcats have a chip on their shoulder. A lot of people counting them out, and they're a really damn good football team. Notre Dame found that out when they came into South Bend and just wiped the floor with them. And that was the only loss Notre Dame had this year. And so I really hope for everything to destroy the college football playoff freaking committee, to destroy their hopes and dreams and to destroy their hearts and wreck everything about college football. I really hope that we have a Michigan-Cincinnati national championship. I know that the referees and the everything else is probably going to play a big factor into this, right? Because they're going to do everything they can to keep these guys out of the national title game and to make sure that we have Georgia, Alabama in the national title game. But I really hope that these two teams find a way to overcome all of that and overcome the odds and end up with this national title game. Because look, for me as a fan, as somebody who can't stand the SEC bias that they have, I'm fine if the teams are that good. I think Georgia's that good. I think Georgia's the best team in the country. But I don't believe Alabama is a top 5 team in the country. I think Notre Dame's a better team this season than Alabama is. I think if Notre Dame had the opportunity to go into the college football playoff and they were the 4 seed going up against Alabama, I would pick Notre Dame to win this game.
Combs.
And I'm telling you, Alabama is just not that good, and they've proven it with. Let's go look at their schedule and look at the teams that they struggle against. Okay. And the teams that they struggle against are teams that play solid defense and teams that can run the ball, and those are both huge strengths for Notre Dame.
Alabama has only missed the college football playoff one time, Combs. Every time they are in the college football.
Why is that?
Because they're good. Because they have a dynasty. They have things cooking there. But I don't want to talk about Alabama whatsoever, because that just makes me sick coming out of my mouth.
But did
defending
they
Alabama
make
whatsoever.
the playoffs this year because of their play on the field, or did they make the playoffs this year because they've been they've been Alabama over the last 10 years?
Let me ask you this question. Wish your question. Who would you rather have had? Would you rather have had a 2-loss Oklahoma State team, a 2-loss Baylor team? What would you want?
I think if you put them up together and you take all of the points that the college football committee says that they vote off of, you have to give Notre Dame the nod over Alabama. And I'm not saying, look, again, I agree. I'm okay with the 4 that are in there. But if you're going off of the criteria, Notre Dame's 1 loss came against a top 3 team in the nation, top 4 team in the nation. Alabama's loss came against an unranked team. Other than those games, Notre Dame didn't struggle to beat unranked teams. Notre Dame didn't struggle in games versus teams that they should absolutely manhandle. Alabama did 3 different times. 3 different times. They didn't belong in there. And to say that Notre Dame's 1 loss versus Cincinnati is a worse loss,
it is,
than Alabama's 1 loss to Texas A&M, who has 4 losses this season. Give me a break. It's a joke. Just say, I would much rather you just come out and tell me. I'm a big person about, if you've got something to say to me, just come out and say it, because I respect you more if you just come and tell me. You can do whatever you want to do, but just come and talk to me. So if the college football playoff committee just says, hey, look, we want Alabama in there because they make the most money, just come tell me that, because then I'll be all right with that. Don't go through the motions of saying, oh, we've got to vote and this is the criteria we go through, because you just showed that all of your criteria is bullshit.
Well, you want to talk about BS. The reason why they don't want Notre Dame in there, because Notre Dame doesn't deserve to be in their, Combs. They don't have any conference championship. When Cincinnati was playing, when Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma State and Baylor were all playing on Championship Sunday, what was Notre Dame doing, Combs? They were sitting back in their cozy Irish little folding back chairs watching teams play. Absolutely ridiculous. How does Notre Dame even deserve a chance to be even considered in the playoffs when all these teams would have to play a conference championship game every year just to be considered? You are thinking blasphemy if you think that is fair at all. So if you don't want to put Alabama in there, I would not put a one-loss Notre Dame team in there at all. I would be putting Oklahoma State. I would be putting Baylor. Hell, I would put Ohio State in there before Notre Dame. Notre Dame never had a right, even a chance to be in the college football playoff this season or years beyond this at all, Combs.
Look, people want to talk about that, and again, I am fine with, because I agree with the notion that Notre Dame hasn't proven over the last 6 or 7 years that they belong in the college football playoff, because when you put them there, they kind of choke, right? They did get to a national title game a couple of years against Alabama back when we had the guy with the imaginary girlfriend on our defense. But
wait, hang on. Was that a playoff? That wasn't a playoff though, right?
Yeah, that was a playoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
And yeah, I believe they beat LSU, if I'm not mistaken, to
I can't remember.
to a game against Alabama. But regardless, I'm okay with the 4 teams that are in, but don't lie to me and say that you went through the criteria, because you didn't go through the criteria. Your criteria was, did Alabama win the SEC title? Yes. I'm convinced that if Alabama loses that game, they're at number 4 and they're still in the college football playoff.
No.
Who do you put in over them?
Ohio State.
Because you don't want Notre Dame in there, right? Why? So you're going to put a 2-loss Ohio State? You're going to let them jump 4 teams in the rankings?
Yep.
To get to that seat?
Yep.
That would be stupid too.
There
goes your criteria there too.
This is the only thing that saved the college football validity at all this season, was Oklahoma State losing to Baylor on that last second goal line stand. If Oklahoma State would have beaten Baylor in the Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma State would have been 4. Cincinnati would have found their way out. Now, if Alabama would have lost, Cincinnati would have found their way in there, but you would have seen Oklahoma State probably at 2, just because they wanted a Georgia versus Cincinnati game, just because they don't want Cincinnati in the championship game at all.
So this is what drives me nuts about college football, right? Because I don't understand what your criteria is.
There's no criteria
for
it's the eye test.
There's it can't be that way, because you
eye
tell
test
me
and
that
money.
there's criteria, right? And so their 2 losses, Ohio State's 2 losses were to Oregon and Michigan. Okay, they didn't even get to. You want to talk about a team? You said Notre Dame doesn't belong there because they didn't win a conference.
Nope.
Well, neither did Ohio State.
Okay.
And they had more losses than Notre Dame did.
They played better teams.
So there goes your criteria too. So basically what you're saying is, I just want to put this team in because I want to put this team in. Just as the same thing the committee did with Alabama. Alabama does not belong in the college football playoffs.
Nor does Notre Dame. Especially since
tell me why Notre Dame doesn't belong, but Alabama does.
Conference.
Don't say because they're Alabama.
No conference championship.
But you were just going to put
brand
Ohio
new
State
coach.
In. They don't have a college championship either.
A
brand new coach.
Okay.
Who, when they introduced him, the entire locker room and weight room went nuts. They were so excited to have this guy as their head coach.
We are so excited. We got our coach, but we're going to go 5-10 for the rest of the season. Yay! Come on. Who cares about what players think? It is about the perspective of the nation, Combs. Come on. When you have a brand new coach, can you put a championship winning team on the field in 2 weeks? Answer me that question. No, you can't. I don't care if you've been the offensive coordinator all season long, Combs. When you step into the head coach role, things change. Things change. You are now the guy in charge. You now have to spend 18 hours a day making a game plan of how to beat Georgia. Can he do that? No, he cannot in 2 weeks. He cannot do that. Those are not his guys on the field. Those are not his coaching staff. Hell, this isn't even going to be his job in 2 weeks anyways, because Urban Meyer's going to get fired from Jacksonville, and Urban Meyer's going to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame is not picking up Urban Meyer. Stop with that stupidity that you think that Notre Dame is going to go out and get Urban Meyer. That's not going to be a thing. It's just not.
Is it?
And when you talk about Notre Dame,
talk to me January 3rd, Holmes.
You look at a team in Texas A&M who gave up 41 points to Alabama and lost 41 to 30, or to Texas A&M and lost 41 to 38.
It's a conference game. They know each other well.
They played
Notre Dame
Florida
doesn't have that.
and won 31 to 29. Came back to win that game.
Conference
The
game.
Auburn game, unranked Auburn had to come back to win that game.
Rivalry
Arkansas
game and a conference
had
game.
Had to come back to win that one and struggled to beat Arkansas. Right? They blew out New Mexico State. I'll give you that. An unranked LSU team. They put up 20 points. They beat them by 6 points. Unranked LSU. They blew out Tennessee. They blew out Mississippi State. They blew out Southern Miss. And they blew out Mercer. Congratulations. Congratulations. And you look at a team like Notre Dame, who went into Florida State, beat Florida State, who beat a top-ranked Wisconsin team at the time. It destroyed a top-ranked Wisconsin team at the time, 41 to 13. Not just beat them, destroyed them.
Top rank considered 15th, Combs? I'm just asking for a friend.
They were not 15th when they played them.
So
they were 15th when they ended the season.
So does that mean that your Bears are a top-ranked team since they're 25th in the power rankings?
Let me ask you a question. Where's Texas A&M in the rankings right now?
I believe
Where'd
the
they
35th.
finish?
The 35th right now.
Yeah, 35th. All right, yeah. And who lost to Texas A&M?
I believe it was
Not
Alabama. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyways, guys, it is that time. We're up against the first break here. One prize says Notre Dame has already found their coach. They found their coach until January 3rd. Let's just be honest, guys. Let's just be flat honest about it. January 3rd, Urban Meyer is coming to South Bend, Indiana to take that Notre Dame Fighting Irish job.
And Buck's going to move to Alabama so you can have relations with his sister.
Hell yeah. Man, she's sexy. I'm kidding. But, guys, we are up against the first break here. We got Graham Wallace at Buzz Wallace on the Twitter machine coming up here after the break. But as we are going to break, guys, I want you guys to ask yourself this question. Ask this question nicely. Who will have the number 1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft? We got the Jaguars, Jets, or the Detroit Lions right now are 1, 2, and 3. Who gets the first overall draft, guys? Let me know here in the chat. We'll be right back here on the Man Hour. Stay tuned.
Make them play for it.
Make them play for it. That'd be dumb.
check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckheisel and Brandon Beastie Combs, and be sure to check out your Beastie merch over at manhourradio.com. And of course, check out the Takeaway 22 merch, as all proceeds go to a nonprofit organization to help with PTSD and getting veterans to and from medical appointments, feeding them, housing them, all that good stuff. So, guys, we do have a poll question happening over here at youtube.com/manhour, and that is, do you want to go with Vegas with the Man Hour? Simple yes or simple no, because if you are a $5.99 member or higher, you get entered into that raffle to come to Vegas with us for the NFL draft. So, Combs, I know you're excited to go to Vegas. Has the old ball and chain decided to let you go solo, or do we still got to have chaperones?
Well, I believe you're referring to Michelle. I will not allow you to speak to her like that. So you and I are going to have to meet in the parking lot after the show.
Yeah, make sure you bring your step ladder so we can have eye-to-eye conversation.
We don't. Don't worry. I'll chop you down at the knees and bring you down to my level. That's all I got to do. But yeah, look, if this thing kicks off and we're ready to go to Vegas, I'll be there.
Yeah, we are going to be there, and to see the NFL draft, to see the future stars coming to our favorite teams here. Speaking of favorite teams, Mr. Graham Wallace has a favorite team, and his favorite team is kind of shaky at best. Graham, what's up, bud?
Jeez.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills coming off a really tough loss there Monday night. I think everyone knew the Patriots were going to run by about halfway through the second quarter, even halfway through the first quarter. They're going to run every play. They knew it, and they just couldn't stop it.
How about the first drive? They ran like 14 times.
Well, I mean, Damian Harris with that, I think it was a 64-yard touchdown. Yeah. I actually heard a stat that if you take away that run, they were only giving up 3.5 yards per rush, but that's stupid. I mean, it was over 200 yards rushing. Mac Jones only 3 pass attempts. He completed 2 of them. And they just made more plays. Josh Allen,
Stephon Diggs that catch the ball.
Yeah, he missed out on a few plays. Josh Allen was pretty inaccurate with some of his throws too, although he could really throw it even in the wind. He's got maybe the strongest arm in the league.
The wind was blown at 147 miles an hour. It really looked like they were playing at Niagara Falls. The way that wind was blowing, it did not look like they were in the stadium. It looked like they were at Niagara Falls. It was ridiculous.
Well, it's not far from Niagara Falls, actually.
No, not at all.
Well, and actually, if you go over to Niagara Falls, that puts you in Canada, and that's where Toronto's at, and that's exactly who you write for, Graham. So tell the people where they can find your baseball blog sections at.
Yeah, very, very well done there, Buck, with the transition. So jaysjournal.com.
Can't believe you got it right.
Got some Blue Jays content coming for you there. It's been a little bit slower with the lockout going on, but there's still some ideas in the lab going on, if you will. Also, bellyupsports.com, MLB tab is where you'll find most of my articles. And then you can find me here every Wednesday night with you guys talking NFL power rankings. Hit me up as well on Twitter, on Instagram, at Bus Wallace.
Yeah.
Holla at your boy.
Yeah, so guys, the link is in the description here for Bus Wallace there on the Twitter machine. Give him a follow. Let's get him up to 1,000 followers before Christmas, right? That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
I'm a bit above that 1,000 now, actually.
Okay, well, everybody unfollow him.
1.1K.
Way to bring him down.
Yeah, well, everybody unfollow him and then refollow him. There we go.
Sure, whatever it takes.
No. So let's get into 2,000 guys. But speaking of 2,000s, the Lions are finally out of the cellar since the first time since the 2000s, coming in at number 31. Are you riding that Lion train? Are they going to be playoff bound now?
I don't know about that, but they were able to march their way out of the den. I don't know what kind of metaphor you want to use there. Jared Goff, pretty clutch performance there. Amon-Ra St. Brown finding him in the end zone with the buzzer-beating touchdown. You don't see too many of those. I feel really good for Dan Campbell, and I feel a little better for Jared Goff after watching his girlfriend celebrate the win. Did you guys see this? He's
I did not.
With this Sports Illustrated model, and wow, she was very excited for his victory. And this guy might not be winning on the field, but off the field.
There you go, Graham.
I mean, if you can get a Victoria's Secrets model to celebrate anything of mine, I'd be happy.
I mean, it's Sports Illustrated, which it's not quite in the same vein as Victoria's
Oh,
Secret, but
whatever.
I mean,
Same
gosh,
difference.
she was jumping up and down and celebrated, and let me tell you, it was she was very happy.
She was very happy. Were the how do we keep this PG? Were the puppies having more puppies?
Quite possibly. I think I'm
To
getting
hell
lost
with
in the
PG.
sauce.
Can I find this girl on Pornhub or what?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's a little bit too.
Oh, Michelle was down here. She
Check
just came
your
around the corner.
inbox in February. Oh no, the Sports Illustrated calendar comes out in June now. I think they mix it up or May.
That's
Anyways, we're getting a little bit off the rails here. I saw that and I was just like, "Way to go, Jared!"
That's what we
is
do
with
here,
these
Grant.
models?
Yeah.
They
This is
always
your first
go
time
for
on the Man Hour, Graham?
It must be.
All we do is go off the rails.
Well, you guys seen Mike Zimmer's little lady friend, right? She's a Pornhub model, and she is pretty good looking. You can find her in Pornhub. So the Vikings come in at number 22
for her. I think he paid for her.
Probably. The Vikings at 22, Graham? Come on, man. Better than the Seahawks? Better than the Bears? Better than the Saints? Falcons? Panthers? What?
Well, I mean, the Seahawks and a couple of those teams are only have 4 wins. Bears are 4-8. I think Combs keeps saying they should be in somewhere in the mid 30s, which I don't know how they do that.
I
A few
put at
college teams
41
ahead of
now
them.
after the
41.
last weekend. 41.
Okay, so a few more college teams might slide ahead of them. Look, Vikings, we've seen some really good performances out of them. They beat the Packers. They beat a couple of decent teams, but that was a damaging loss. But I mean, 5-7, they're still in the mix for those last couple of spots in the NFC. It's just a weird year. 6-6 Washington football team is the number 6 team. 6 seed in the NFC. 6-6 Denver Broncos, number 13 seed in the AFC. So parity is really ruling right now. There's a lot of okay teams. So a lot of those teams I kind of have bunched up together. And I think you'll notice teams like the Dolphins and the Eagles, who have been pretty successful lately, especially the Dolphins, winners of 5 straight. They might get a bit of a leg up on some of those teams just because of some of the momentum that they've carried over the last month or so.
Yeah, so Graham, I actually found a very interesting stat earlier in the week here. The Minnesota Vikings is the only team to have a 7-point lead in every game this season, but yet they're only 5-7. So something is definitely not clicking over there in Minnesota. But you guys, you can get the bottom half of the power rankings here on Twitter. I'll get those posted tomorrow. Work was crazy today. I actually just got off work about an hour before the show started. But let's start out at number 10, Graham. And you do have the Chargers. Why do you got them there?
I thought it was a really nice bounce back performance against the Cincinnati Bengals. They got off to a quick start. They allowed Cincinnati back into this game. And then it was a big time fumble recovery, scoop and score, courtesy of Joe Mixon. He's the guy who fumbled the ball. Can't think of the defender's name, but they were able to race to that touchdown and really kind of kept the Bengals at bay. Look, I really like this team. I still think they have a chance to win the AFC East, even though they're a game behind the Chiefs right now. They did win that first head-to-head matchup. I like the confidence that Brandon Staley shows in his guys. They're going for it on 4th down. I believe more than just about any other team. Pretty high rate of success with that as well. I've been reading about that quite a bit. So I like this team. I like Justin Herbert. He's shown some inconsistency throughout the season, but when he's on, he's about as good a thrower as there is. So I think it's there for them. It might be a bit of a developmental year after a kind of a down 7-9 campaign last year. But like I said, I think it's all there for them. If they could find a way to beat the Chiefs in the rematch, they have a really good chance to win that division.
Combs, thoughts?
Yeah. I don't have any problems with the Chargers there. I definitely think they're one of the 10 best teams in the NFL right now. Even though they lost that game on Monday night, I still have a hard time keeping Buffalo outside of the top 10. Especially, they've got the 5 losses on the year, but they haven't lost 2 games in a row since October 4th. They also haven't won 2 games in a row since October 4th. But I still feel like that team, just based on talent alone, should get some consideration for the top 10. But the fact that you got them outside of the top 10, I mean, I can't really call you a homer on that. So I'm okay with the Chargers here at 10.
All right, so guys, coming in at number 9, Graham at Bus Wallace on the Twitter machine does have the Tennessee Titans. They are 8-4 on the season. So they're still first in AFC South, but they are on a 2-game losing streak. Graham, explain yourself, big guy.
Well, I mean, I just kind of kept them where they had them last week. They had the bye week. They had a bit of a late bye. This upcoming week is the last the last bye weeks of the season. Patriots and a few other teams. So we're going to have the last 4 weeks of the season. There's going to be 16 games apiece, which is pretty cool. I think Titans are having a good season. They have 5 games left. Their schedule isn't particularly challenging. I think they could find a way to win at least if they can win 3 of those games, they could most likely win that division still, hold off the Colts, who they've beaten in both of their matchups head to head, and, probably get a 3 or 4 seed in the playoffs. I don't feel as good about this team as I did obviously before King Henry went down. They have showed an ability, however, still to run the ball, which is such a huge part of their identity. Tannehill needs to do a better job protecting the ball. That defense is still, I'd say, a top 10 unit. Especially been really impressed with Jeffrey Simmons on the front line, and also Kevin Byard, the safety there, who's been a multiple-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, so I think the magic number for the Tennessee Titans is 10 wins. I think that 10-win mark will let them win the division. So looking at their schedule moving forward, they do have the Jaguars, Steelers, 49ers, Dolphins, and Texans. So first things first is Jaguars, Texans jump off at the screen at me saying those are easy wins. There is your 10, right? But we saw them lost to Houston just a couple weeks ago. Miami Dolphins are actually surging up. The 49ers are starting to come around as well. Steelers might be riding on the Big Ben momentum train as well. If they lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do they miss the playoffs if they lose to the Jaguars this weekend?
No. I would simply say that after the top 4 or 5 teams in the AFC, there's a big drop off there. You're talking about teams like the Raiders, who have been really shaky for a month plus, the Denver Broncos. Cincinnati Bengals have been good, but they've also been pretty erratic this season. You don't know what you're going to get with them. Pittsburgh Steelers, we just talked about them. They've looked terrible at times this season. They lost to Cincinnati both times, including one by 31 points. So you don't really know what you're going to get out of them. Are the Miami Dolphins going to continue to win ball games? Who knows? They have a late bye as well, so they could be energized by that, like what I've seen out of Brian Flores' team over the last 5 games. So I still think they'd find a way to win it, even if they lost that game to Jacksonville. I just think they'll be able to find a way to beat Houston and maybe the 49ers, one of those other games. But I do think they'll end up at 11 wins, actually.
Yeah, so thinking we're going to end up at 11 wins, the LA Rams were on pace to have a world beater season, but they have fallen 8-4 and second in the NFC West now, and that's exactly who comes in at number 8. Are the Rams still the real deal, or are we still starting to kind of question them a little bit more, Graham?
Yeah, that's really fair. I think it's very fair to question this team. If you think about how they played during that 3-game losing streak, Matt Stafford was making some really bad throws. Odell Beckham Jr., you could really question the fit there. However, I still really like this defense. If you think about Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, 2 of the best at their positions. They have some pretty good linebackers as well. They have a big game Monday night. They're going to go into the desert, face the Arizona Cardinals, who have been at or near the top of my rankings almost throughout the entire season. So I think this is a big game. I didn't want to overreact to them beating the Jacksonville Jaguars by 30 points. They're not a good team at all. So it was a good get-right win, but I still need to see a bit more from this team. And I'd like to see them at least be competitive with the Cardinals. And if they could find a way to win that game, the division is still within reach.
Yeah, and here, Graham, is where I'm probably going to have the most problem with your power rankings to this point. Is probably like I said I had a hard time keeping the Buffalo Bills out of the top 10, and I think your last 2 teams is where I could probably flip-flop one of these 2 down and out of the top 10, put them at 10, and sneak Buffalo in. At maybe 9, because I think Buffalo's still better than both these teams. The Rams have lost 3 out of their last 4, and then even their last 5 wins have come against the Seahawks, the Giants, the Lions, the Texans, and the Jaguars. So it's not like, they're out there beating good teams. Every time they play a good team, they have a letdown game, including that 3-game losing streak that we just had. They played 3 really good teams and had letdown games, only scoring 10 points against the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, like everybody's scoring on the San Francisco 49ers this year. So this is one of those teams where I think gets a pass just because they play in the NFC West and their name is the Rams and they started out really good and we have a hard time keeping them out. And whereas the Buffalo Bills have struggled and win loss and lose this tough game to the Patriots, I almost put more stock in what they've been doing over the last 4 weeks than I do with anything that I put in with the Titans or the Rams.
Yeah, the main thing that's really troubling me about the Buffalo Bills is the middle of that defense. We saw it against the Colts, and we saw it again against the Patriots. Over 200 yards rushing. Matt Milano is a really good player, but their linebackers are small, and a lot of times they play a 4-2-5 kind of scheme, and the middle of that defense is wide open. I don't know why they weren't stacking the line a bit more because, like I said, everyone in the stadium and everyone watching at home knew the Patriots are going to run time after time, and they couldn't find a way to stop it. So that's really concerning me. More than any area of weakness on any of those other two teams. And it could be a reason.
Who did you have at 11 and 12?
Pardon me? Sorry?
Who
11 and 12, I have
the
Bills
Bills
and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, see, and those are two teams that right now I would take over either the Titans or the Rams right now because I think that the Bengals are probably the toughest team in the NFL to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Because there are times where you're like, wow, they might not win this game, and they come out and win the game by 40. And then there are times where you're like, yeah, they should roll this game, and they win by 2 or 3, or they lose the damn game. So they're probably one of the hardest teams in the NFL to figure out. But I think that what they've done, their body of work right now, is better than what the Titans are going to do without Derrick Henry. I feel like the Bills are still a better team right now overall than the Rams. They've just had a tough stretch of games. They've had a tough stretch of the way that they're playing. Their game plan just has not been that great as of late. I'm not a big believer in what they're getting there out of their head coach, but I still feel like the overall body of work and the eye test, if you will, would tell you that you might take the Bills or the Bengals over either the Titans or the Rams.
Yeah, it's close. Certainly, there was some consideration there that I gave it. I ended up kind of going with the hot hand, if you will. Again, I didn't want to overreact to the win over the Jaguars. I didn't want to put the Rams up too high. And I still need to see more from them. If you think about Sean McVay, that big smile on his face and the spiky hair and hugging Matt Stafford, we haven't really seen that since going back to September. So they still have a lot of things that they can accomplish this season, but they have to play better, certainly.
And feel free to just tell me to get my own damn rankings, Graham. I mean, it's okay. I'm just,
Well, you're doing your job. You got to poke holes in my rankings. That's what it's all about. If we all agreed, it wouldn't be any fun.
Well, and then speaking of poking holes, this is where I'm going to start poking holes is number 7, and that's with the Baltimore Ravens. They are another 8-4 team. They are first in the AFC North right now, but the Baltimore Ravens offense have only scored 1 touchdown in the last 5 games per game. So that is a far cry from the 3 touchdown performances that we've been seeing from that trash the quarterback of named Lamar Jackson. So Baltimore Ravens at number 7, Graham. Tell me why. Sell me on it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, 8-4, they could still win the AFC. They could still be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I know they're right now a half game behind the New England Patriots, but all they need to do is win their next game while the Patriots are sitting at home on their couch, and they're tied again. I believe they won the head-to-head earlier between those teams as well. Look, I just think the pressure on Lamar Jackson, and I mean literally the pressure from the defense because his line's been terrible, is really starting to get to him. He's forcing throws. He's starting to do things that he really shouldn't do. And let's be honest, I mean, I know he was under the gun there a little bit from TJ Watt, but there's no way he should have whipped that ball to Mark Andrews. If he just lofted that in, a nice little floater, he definitely would have hauled it in and they would have won that ball game. Then we're talking about a 9-3 team and alone in first place in the AFC. Look, they've been winning ugly and losing ugly for that matter all season. So I just think it's one of those years that it's a mucky team. John Harbaugh is going to find a way to get this ship steered in the right direction. They've won a lot of close games. They lost a really ugly close game on Sunday, but like I said, it's still all there for them. If they could find a way to finish strong, they could easily still achieve 12 wins, which might be good enough for the top seed in the AFC.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would definitely be enough to get a playoff berth in the AFC North. But right now, Graham, I have been on record saying that since they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens will not make the playoffs this season because of the record, or sorry, the schedule that they have moving forward. They do play the Browns again, a very bipolar Browns team. We are talking about Cincinnati being bipolar. Browns are just as bipolar. And then they play the Packers, and then play the Bengals and the Rams and the Steelers. They could very easily not win another game for the rest of the season, Graham.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, they could lose their last 5 games, sure, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to find a way to switch it up, find a way to do something different as far as their line's concerned. Sorry, just trying to get my computer charging here, and just find a different game plan. We see it with Bill Belichick, a different game plan every week. He prepares for that opponent. He's got to try to. You can't just get the line to block better, but if they can find some different schemes, maybe mix it up with some RPO, some play action, different things, get the defense to force some turnovers, maybe get a play on special teams. I have faith that they could win at least 3 of their final games.
Yeah,
and be in a strong position for the playoffs.
Yeah, so only time will tell here. But speaking of time will tell, imagine that we have another 8-4 team in the top 10 of the NFL power rankings, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. They're coming in at number 6. Sell Combs and why is they're a top 10 team, because Combs is not like the Dallas Cowboys at all this season.
Yeah, I mean, it was a game they just had to win, let's be honest. Thursday Night Football, New Orleans Saints, a team that's kind of had a tough stretch of games. I believe they're losers of 5 in a row now. They needed to win this game. Did they blow the Saints away in a way that made you think, oh, this is an elite team? No, they didn't. Tony Pollard had a nice touchdown run that kind of helped them get away, run away in that game, if you will. But it wasn't necessarily an impressive showing. However, they're in a great position in the NFC. Their lead has decreased down to 2 games over the Washington football team, 2.5 over the Philadelphia Eagles. But I have confidence in Dak Prescott. I like what I've seen out of Tony Pollard. Let's just be honest. He's better than Ezekiel Elliott. He is. He has been this year, the whole season. He's averaging more yards per carry. He's more of a factor in the passing game. I think once this team gets completely healthy, they're still very dangerous. The problem has been at times the defense, especially the secondary. Anthony Brown is just holding on to whatever he can, getting multiple pass interference penalties, and that's never good. So if they could just find a way to be decent on defense, they still have a top offense that could outscore teams on most days.
So I found the key to unlocking Graham's power rankings week to week. If you're in the top 5, it's because you're really, really good and you've done some. You've had some really good wins. If you're in the bottom 5, it's because he can't decipher whether or not you're a good or bad team, and the rest of them are just okay. Because look, your number 9 team, the Tennessee Titans, is 2-2 in their last 4. Your number 8 team in the Los Angeles Rams has lost 3 out of their last 5. Your the number 7 team in the Ravens is 3-3 in their last 6. The Dallas Cowboys, who are the number 6 team, have lost 3 out of their last 5. So these are teams that just, they started out hot and just have not been playing well of late. I think that not only does, and I'm joking around with you a little bit here, Graham, but yeah. I just think that this part of it really speaks to the parity in the NFL, right? Because these are your top 10 teams in the NFL. Your bottom 5 of your top 10, most of them have lost 3. They don't even have winning records in their last 5 games. You know what I mean? So it's the parity in the NFL is insane. I think that the Cowboys are a little high here. I'm not a big believer. Look, in the biggest reason why I'm not a believer in this team is Mike McCarthy. I'm just not. Mike McCarthy kills it for me. I think, do they belong in the top 10? Yes. But are they better than some of these teams that we're naming ahead of them? Even the teams that I said maybe don't belong in the top 10, like the Rams and the Titans. I think that they're better teams than the Dallas Cowboys. I think that the Tennessee Titans without Derrick Henry could beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely possible. You made some good points there. I'm not a huge Mike McCarthy guy myself. I actually have more faith in Kellen Moore, who's I think is going to be on the sideline as a head coach next season, actually. My only retort to that really is, how many really good teams are there in the NFL? right now there's probably only about 4 or 5 teams that you could really hitch your wagon behind and say, you know what, this is a very good team. They have an excellent chance to go to the Super Bowl. After that, it's a bunch of decent teams, and then you've got another kind of subsection of like okay teams or really inconsistent teams like the Vikings or the 49ers or, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I get what you're saying. That's definitely, I don't even disagree with a lot of what you said. It's hard to come out with these rankings. I guess I could say come out with your own damn rankings, but that's not really my style. I'm too nice a guy, I guess. But it's tough. I try to put some thought into these. I try to find some time during the work day or whatever, a break here and there. But
I guess my point is, I bet you if you go to the bottom half of those rankings, take 11 through 15 or 11 through 32 if you want. I bet you don't find many teams there that have winning records in the last 5 games either. That's what I'm saying. The parity in this game right now in the NFL is probably better than we've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean, right now you've got the New England Patriots, winners of 7 in a row. Who are the other teams who are hot? You got the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe they've won 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
And then you've got the Miami Dolphins, who've won 5 in a row, but they're 6 and 7.
And the Arizona Cardinals.
Arizona Cardinals. That's when you're starting to get into a team that, like, I think I could call this a great team. This season they might be the best team in the NFL. I know, Buck, you're not quite there yet. Combs and I are losing our mind
Buck's
about
an
that,
idiot.
but that's okay. But I guess we should move into the top 5. What do you say, guys?
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of hitching your wagon behind a team, Kansas City Chiefs have won 5 in a row, and imagine that they are another 8-4 team, first team in the AFC West. Mr. Bus Wallace at the Twitter machine there. Are the Kansas City Chiefs one of your Super Bowl teams that you're getting behind?
Stop grinning, Buck.
They definitely could get back there. And the funny thing is, what if I told you 8 months ago that the Chiefs are going to be Super Bowl bound, and it had almost nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes? They're winning despite of him. They're winning because of this awesome defense that's just swarming teams. Chris Jones, Steve Spagnuolo, they're just all over it. And Pat Mahomes has had, I believe,
the offense has been shaky though, right? Offense has been shaky.
Yeah, his passer rating is always in the 70s, which is just mediocre. I don't know what's happening. He's throwing these lasers and the receivers can't handle it. A lot of the interceptions are off tips, which aren't all his fault, but I think sometimes he doesn't always need to throw the lasers when it's a quick slant or something like that. You saw that come off the hands of Tyreek Hill right into the arms of the defender. Pretty easy game for them against the Broncos, but still, what would they put up? 22 points. I know Denver has a good defense and everything, but man, I'd like to see them have a good 40 burger or something like that before the end of the season. And I'm not convinced it's happened. Like, is he broken? I'm not saying he is, but he's been bad this season.
Before Buck goes off and lets you know how good his Kansas City Chiefs are and blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's keep in mind that you don't have to pander to this man. This man, he keeps putting that Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champion hat out there. But let's notice that the other night he was wearing a Dallas Cowboys hat. He's got a Packers flag in the background. And right now he's got an ugly Christmas sweater in Denver Bronco colors.
Hey, no,
sitting on his damn body right now.
First of all, this is
those are Denver Bronco colors.
There's an RV, Clark. Come on, man.
It's still Denver Bronco colors.
Come on.
Tell me that's not a Denver Bronco color.
It's red and blue, like Combs.
New York Giants to me, or Buffalo Bills.
That is orange. That is orange and blue.
Are you freaking colorblind? But whatever.
We're colorblind, baby. I like the sweater though, Buck.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely appreciate it. But just to add to your point there, Patrick Mahomes is broken. Since that turf toe injury and the AFC Championship game, he has not been him same self. Also, to add to your point there, Graham, Patrick Mahomes has a QBR ranking of 46.5 at home this season. There is no home cooking in Kansas City whatsoever. So, first of all, disclaimer, the Kansas City Chiefs are my team, but they are not a top 10 team, Graham. They are arguably the worst division leader in all of the NFL right now. They are the worst 8-4 team in the NFL right now. The Kansas City Chiefs, if they did not beat the Denver Broncos, we are looking at them not even making the playoffs this year. Them beating the Broncos.
See what he's doing here, right? This is classic Buck reverse psychology. I'm going to tell you how bad the Kansas City Chiefs are because I want them to keep winning and keep doing this. Because ever since I said how bad they were, and since I said hashtag bench Mahomes, they haven't lost a game.
They haven't. But look at these scores: 20-17 versus the Giants, 13-7 versus the Packers without Aaron Rodgers. We'll just skim over that Raiders game because that's when the whole DUI car wreck happened. They fired John Gruden, and they had another receiver get hurt as well. And then the Dallas Cowboys 19-9, and then the Broncos 22-9. Yeah, the Chiefs are just not good right now. Now the defense is great. Also,
defense is elite lately. Yeah.
Also, after my hashtag fire Steve Spagnuolo, they've done well as well. No clout there, but they're not good. Sorry, guys. And then,
Well,
go
you're
ahead.
stupid.
What are we going to say?
We'll see what happens the rest of the season. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, so speaking of number 4, a team that is good, the Green Bay Packers, Graham. Boast on those guys. Boast on them. Get them up.
Oh,
Hey,
wave your flag, Buck.
The Green Bay Packers have been about as consistent a team, taking away that week 1 debacle against the New Orleans Saints. Also, the game Aaron Rodgers didn't play. Obviously, Jordan Love is not ready for prime time. I don't even think he could play in the CFL, honestly. So this has been one of the, if you take away those 2 games, this has been one of the most consistent teams all season. Joe Barry's got that defense flying around. I was just on social media before I hopped on with you guys. Is Aaron Rodgers really not going to play this week? And Kurt Benkert is he going to be on the active roster? I saw this thing and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is.
I have not heard anything, but I did hear he wasn't having toe surgery. And they do have a bye week next week, right? Combs, is their bye week next week? I think I'm not for sure. Or
no,
their bye was
they've already had their bye week.
Yeah, so as far as I know, Aaron Rodgers is playing. He's playing through his
Aaron
little.
Rodgers is playing out.
Okay, so
He's
pro
playing through his
football
COVID.
talk. Aaron Rodgers not practicing Wednesday. Kurt Benkert to take all QB reps.
Oh well,
So
he hasn't practiced Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the last 3 weeks. So either.
Okay, so that's very common. I'd be very surprised if he didn't play. But I think it kind of speaks volumes to how they think about Jordan Love if he's not even going to be the backup.
He's on the COVID list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm missing out on some of that news. Okay, sorry about that, guys.
There's no way he's not going to play against a team that he says he's part owner of.
Oh, they're playing the Bears, right? Okay, I own you, all that. Okay. This Packers is another one of those teams. They definitely could run the table. Honestly, I don't have a ton of confidence in Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. We've seen it time after time. He'll get to the big game, he'll get to the championship game, and they don't win. So I think they could probably definitely get back there. Will they get to the Super Bowl? I don't know, probably not. But they're looking like at least a championship team as far as getting there to the NFC Championship game, and the defense has been a lot better than I thought it would be.
And this is another team that you look at and you're like, look, top 4 team in the league. They're 2-2 in their last 4.
Yeah,
they lost that 13-7 game to the Chiefs without Aaron Rodgers, so you could say that was actually for their team and for the morale and the I guess the ego. It's kind of a boost for you, right? You go into Kansas City, one of the hardest places in the NFL to play, and you only lose 13-7 without your top wide receiver, without your quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean that's a win. And then they beat the Seahawks 17-0. I think you and Buck could beat the Seahawks 17-0 right about now. Then they lose to the Vikings in Minnesota, and then they go out and they beat the Rams last week. They're gonna murder the Bears. They're gonna. I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is gonna have a 7 touchdown game just to prove how much he owns the Bears. They're going to murder this team. The Bears are terrible. They asked Aaron Rodgers, do you regret the I still own the Bears comment? And are you worried about retribution this weekend? I would have laughed at that question. Retribution from what? Is Matt Nagy still their head coach? What do you mean retribution?
Yeah, last time I checked, bring back the fridge. Let him coach a game.
No, I don't have a problem with the Packers at 4. I actually think that they are one of the best teams in the NFL. I think you could actually put them. You could have put them at 2, and I would have been okay with it. This team is very, very good. Aaron Rodgers is one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. I don't think there's any question of that. For me, I have him at 2. I have him right behind Tom Brady all time. As much as I hate to say that, as much as I want to throw up in my mouth every time I see the damn guy's face, I think that he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. And this team is playing a little bit different under him this year. They're not the same explosive as they've been. I kind of think that they're kind of sitting on their heels a little bit, waiting to explode come playoff time. I think that they feel like they put too much into it in the regular season. They go out there, they end up the season, whatever, 13-3 or 12-4 or 14-2, and then they get blown out in the playoff, not blown out in the playoffs, but they get knocked out of the playoffs. And I mean, I think they're tired of doing that. I think they're pacing themselves. I think a la the Kansas City Chiefs the last couple of years, pacing themselves into the playoffs. And then that's when they're going to really come out and really show up.
Well, that's the last hurdle. Last 2 seasons, 13-3. 2 years ago, 49ers blew the doors off in the NFC Championship game last year. It seems like they had Tampa Bay right where they wanted them in the frozen tundra of Lambeau
If he would have ran that ball into the corner of the end zone, they would have been in the Super Bowl.
Well, and then they kicked a field goal, never got the ball back. So very questionable decisions there by Matt LaFleur, but nevertheless, they came up just short. That's the only question mark for me. Can they get to the big game and can they win it? I don't think they will, but anyways, down to the last top 3 teams here now.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and throw the top 3 teams out there right now. At number 1, you do have the Arizona Cardinals, not changed from last week. At number 2, you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not changed from last week either. But you do have the New England Patriots sliding into the number 3 range. How are they not higher, Graham?
That's a good question. They're definitely, they're the top seed in the AFC, I should say, but that's been a really shaky conference for the most part. I talked about the Denver Broncos with their 6-6 record currently being the 13 seed. Really only the Texans and Jaguars and Jets are the only teams that are really out of it in that conference. Could they be higher? I guess they could be, but I think that's kind of where they belong right now. Mac Jones has had a really good season, but he didn't have a ton to do with their win over the Buffalo Bills. He handed the ball off very well, and he completed a high percentage of his 3 pass attempts. He completed 2 of those. But the defense is playing at a really high level. Matt Judon is looking like a defensive player of the year candidate, certainly. TJ Watt is another name that comes to mind there. But this is almost a more frustrating team to play against as a Bills fan, because it seems like you should be able to beat them, but you line up, you play the game, and they end up on the winning side of the score. So a great coaching job. I know everyone's been kind of pounding this drum, and I hate to say this, but another great coaching job by Bill Belichick. They're another team that could certainly get there. And I think Combs said it, like Bucks, Pats, Super Bowl. I think a lot of people are licking their chops at the prospect of that.
Dude, look, my Bears are out of it, regardless of what Fox says and how they say they're still in the hunt. The Bears are out of it. The Bears have no chance. So now I'm rooting for a Bucks Pats Super Bowl. I would love to see Brady versus Belichick in the Super Bowl. I think it would just all the drama, all the things that you could talk about, all of the fun things that would happen, heading into the game. I would love to see that rematch. However, I'm going to stick with my preseason prediction of the Arizona Cardinals winning the NFC. The Arizona Cardinals they are so damn good. So damn good. And they prove it week in and week out. I know they only beat the Bears this past weekend. It is what it is. But they have gone out there week after week. Even when they lost, they could have wilted without Kyler Murray and without DeAndre Hopkins, and nobody would have blamed them for losing two games or 3 games in a row there instead of just 1 game. Nobody would have blamed them. You would have said, you know what? Yeah, yes, they've lost 3 in a row, but they don't have Murray, they don't have Hopkins. They come back and they come into Chicago and they do their thing. They look like the team that when Matt Nagy came out after that game and said, well, I just want, the weather played a factor in this one. Let's be honest. This is a team that comes out of a dome from a warm weather state. You're not the one who's supposed to be saying that the weather was a factor. It was them that was supposed to be saying it. The Arizona Cardinals are the best team in the NFL. I think they will beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that they would beat the New England Patriots. This team is the real deal. They are the only elite team in the NFL.
Yeah, they've been a great team all season. My only kind of thing is, how come defenses on the RPOs at the goal line, they're never watching Kyler? He's always just walking into the end zone easily.
Because there's so
everyone's
many
just stacking
weapons.
the line.
You have to worry about Connor. You have to worry about Kirk. You have to worry about DeAndre Hopkins. And now you got to worry about Zach Ertz. You've got so many weapons on that offense from the 1 yard line that, sure, go ahead, stack the line, go after Kyler Murray. And then Ertz or Hopkins are going to be open in the end zone, or Kirk is going to sneak in coming across the line on a slant route. There is so many ways they can beat you. The dynamic is great. And Cliff Kingsbury is doing a hell of a job out in Arizona.
Yeah, and he'll do a better job at Oklahoma when he's named coach here in a few weeks. But Combs, the reason why Kyler Murray is always walking into the end zone on RPOs is because he literally cannot see his receivers wide open in the end zone.
He's going to leave a Super Bowl caliber team to go coach at Oklahoma?
Who wouldn't?
They already have a coach, Brent Venables.
No.
They already hired a
Fire
coach.
him!
I know.
Get him out of
Buck's
there.
got two coaches that have been hired in the college football. He thinks both of them are getting fired for NFL coaches.
I would. Man, come on, man. Graham, thank you for your power rankings, guys. So just to recap here, he has the Chargers at 10, the Titans at 9, the Rams at 8, Ravens at 7, Cowboys at 6, the Kansas City Chiefs at 5, the Green Bay Packers at 4, the New England Patriots at 3, Tampa Bay Bucks at 2, and the Arizona Cardinals at number 1. Graham, as always.
Fact,
what?
only 2 of those teams have winning records in their last 5.
Fun fact, the Lions are no longer in the cellar. Go Lions! Graham, tell us where they can find you.
They're still in the cellar.
Yeah, you bet. So Instagram and Twitter at Bus Wallace. Trying to get my followers up on IG, no doubt. Also look for my articles on jaysjournal.com, also bellyupsports.com. Bit of a hiatus with the baseball strike going on, but I'm going to come up with something. I'm going to cook something up in the lab for you guys. So look for that coming out.
We gotta
Breaking
talk
Bad
about some baseball after football season's over, Graham. You got to come back on when we start talking baseball again.
Hey, actually,
Well,
what are you
next to
doing?
me, can't talk baseball.
What are you doing tomorrow at 8 p.m. East Coast time?
I am going to, actually, we talked about it earlier. I'm going to Niagara Falls to look at the lights with my lady.
Okay, there you go.
Oh.
Hey,
Yeah.
do
Bit of
not stand up your
romantic
wife.
sprouting out here.
Do not stand up your wife to go lights because I'm in the doghouse right now. I'm just throwing it out there. Sorry, babe.
I'm trying to avoid that, man.
There we go. All right, man. Thank you for
Mine's
joining us,
upstairs
guys.
Decorating the tree while I'm on the show.
Fired. All right,
Good man.
All right, guys, we are up against the next break. As always, thank you, Bus Wallace, for giving us his NFL power rankings every week here. He'll be here next Wednesday, 8:30 East Coast time. But, guys, on the other side of the break, what are we going to talk about, Combs? Oh, we're going to talk about Big Ben. Big Ben
Whatever you wanna
Roethlisberger.
talk about.
There we go, guys. We'll be right back here on the Man Hour. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All righty, boss. Thank you. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckheisel and Brandon Combs and I. If you have missed any part of the show whatsoever, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Man Hour. Hit that bell icon as we do upload clips from the show each and every day. Also, guys, if you'd like to listen to us on podcast form, you can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and of course, Spotify. But most importantly, guys, download the Goodpods app as we are trying to get to #1 ranking there in the top sports radio show out there. Right now, we're sitting at number 4 or number 5 at last check. So how do we get bumped up in the ranking, guys? Download the Goodpods app. Look for Man Hour Sports Talk and give each episode a 5-star ranking on it, and it gets us bumped up. The more rankings we get, we will pass Colin Cowherd. We will pass the ESPN boys. Guys, we are up there. We are getting really close. We are very, very close to getting to that #1 range. We just need you guys' help. So download the
Maybe we
Goodpods
just have
app.
to lose 3 of our next 5 episodes, and then we'll get up into the top. Oh, no, that's only if Graham's doing that.
Was that too early? No, that was perfect comedic timing, Combs. So, guys, we've had a great show. We've had the NFL Power Rankings. We've talked some college football. We talked some Tiger Woods. But now, Combs, it is time to talk some Thursday night football, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Minnesota Vikings. This game really doesn't have much mustard. It really doesn't have that much viewing appeal for the average view, but guys, this game is huge on playoff implications because if either team loses, they're more than likely out of the playoffs 100%. So, Combs, let me ask you this question here real quick. How can the Minnesota Vikings win tomorrow's game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Look, the Minnesota Vikings have to stick to the ground game. They got to get Dalvin Cook going. And that's the recipe to beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not world beaters this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a very average team, as I believe their 6-5 record would suggest. The Pittsburgh Steelers they're not very sound stopping the run. The teams that have beaten them this year have run the ball very well against them. The Bengals showed it when the Bengals beat them 41-10. I mean, that was a very heavy ground game induced. They have gotten into a couple shootouts. They got in that shootout with the Chargers. I believe they got in a shootout earlier too with it was with the Bears, that 29-27 game. And the Bears just didn't run the ball very well. Bears never run the ball very well. I don't know what the frick is going on. Anyway, Steelers, I think that the Minnesota Vikings, Dalvin Cook, that's your key to success against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you've also got to get Kirk Cousins a way to not blow it in a primetime game. That would be the key. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Should be a pretty good Thursday night game.
Yeah, this game has more playoff implications this week than any other game in the week 14 matchup here. So on the flip side of that coin, Combs, I'm going to tell you how the Pittsburgh Steelers can win this game. And it's funny that you say the Vikings need to run the ball because that's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do to win this game. Najee Harris needs to touch the ball on the ground 25 times this game. They need to basically only use Big Ben's arm for 3 or 4 plays, like deep down the field. Yes, they can nickel and dime you with those click slants, with those bubble screens, but the MO of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the first drive of every game, they seem to go deep. And every time they hit either Claypool or the other receiver's name slipped in my mind, but anytime they hit those
Schuster.
No, he's hurt for the season. It's their tight end. I can't think of his name. Number 84, I believe it is. But every time they hit him on a deep route, they win that game because they all of a sudden they have you back on their heels and they're going to run the ball down your throat. So let's jump on the defensive side of the ball. Just like what Combs said, how can the Vikings win in this game? Run the ball. Well, guess what? The Pittsburgh Steelers arguably have the best front 7 in all of NFL. They're going to get pressure and they're going to stop the run. You have to force Cousins to pass the ball deep. Over 10 yards, give me some one-on-one coverage on the outside. Bring TJ Watt and those boys, bring the house, put pressure on Kirk Cousins, make Kirk Cousins beat you. I don't want Dalvin Cook to beat me. I don't want stupid mistakes on the offensive side to beat me. I want Kirk Cousins to beat me because I don't think Kirk Cousins can do that. And I believe Adam Thielen is hurt. Jeffries is hurt as well. And another receiver is on the COVID protocol list. So beat me with a bunch of no-name receivers and Kirk Cousins, and I'm going to win because primetime Kurt, no such things, Colmsy. There's no such thing as primetime Kurt.
So I know we talked about the run, and you said the Steelers have arguably the best front seven in the NFL. Do you know where they rank against the run?
I believe they're like 15th or 16th throughout the whole season.
They're actually 27th.
27th? Okay. But I'm looking at the last 5 games.
Detroit Lions.
Right.
They're right ahead of the Detroit Lions.
But you also have to look who they played, though.
The run very well. You could look at who they played all you want. The Steelers do not. You're talking about a guy like Dalvin Cook. This is a top back in the league.
Isn't he hurt as well, though?
No, Dalvin Cook's playing.
Okay, are you sure? Like I thought he was hurt with a sprained ankle, wasn't he? Let me confirm that.
As far as I know, Dalvin Cook is playing in this game. But I'm gonna double check on that right now.
Yeah, I got injuries pulled up. Yep.
That he is playing in this one.
He is questionable with his shoulder, actually, not his ankle.
Yeah.
So Thielen is out with his ankle. Yes, and Jeffries is not on the injured list. So
yeah, so Cook is gonna play in this game, and even if you do run Mattison's a very viable backup. Mattison is one of those guys who can also come out and run for 100 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The Pittsburgh defense, if you ask me what Pittsburgh's key to victory is keeping the game close and forcing Kirk Cousins to beat you.
Oh yeah.
Get in there, because what you're going to do is you're going to get in there. TJ Watt's going to come in off that line, and he is going to make Kirk Cousins poop himself and throw a couple of interceptions. But if they get that run game going, that's when it's going to start opening things up. It's going to make things easier on Kirk Cousins. So the run game, I think they're going to have to let Dalvin Cook eat and try to force some turnovers in the passing game.
So with all that being said, Combs, this game has huge playoff implications. Do either of these teams make the playoffs?
I don't think they do. I think Minnesota and I think Minnesota wins this game, and I think that knocks Pittsburgh down to 6-6. And I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Minnesota Vikings have enough in either conference to be a playoff team. I really don't. I think that both teams are gonna be sub 500 down the stretch with their schedules that they both have, and I think that both teams miss the playoffs. If the Steelers can somehow figure this one out and pull this one out against Minnesota, then I would say maybe the Steelers have an outside chance, but I'm gonna go with no.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no, Collins, just because of everything that you said. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a very hard schedule moving forward. The Vikings are a tough opponent. Will they win this game? I do think they will beat the Vikings on Thursday night game, even though all the analytics say they won't. But I do think they pull it out. But looking at their next 4, they play the Titans, Chiefs, Browns, and Ravens. The Titans, yes, they're still battling without King Henry, but they still got a good defense, and they can make you very one-dimensional very, very quick. The Chiefs are clicking on all cylinders on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully their offense comes around. The Browns, they are just as bipolar as the Bengals are, but it is a division game, and then the end at Baltimore Week 18. So I don't think the Steelers make it, and the Vikings will probably end up third in that division. So being third in the AFC North will not get you into the playoffs. So Combs, this sounds weird, but I think we all agree with this, and I don't think either team makes the playoffs. But Combs, There is
now I think I'm wrong.
right, but there is a story happening in Pittsburgh. Last week, the rumor started to float out that this is Big Ben's last season. The last time we saw a Pittsburgh Steeler say, "Hey, this is my last ride," was the bust, and they end up winning the playoffs. I believe, or sorry, they won the Super Bowl as a 6th seed, which was the first 6th seed ever to do so, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe somehow, some way, can this emotion of Big Ben's last ride, push them, catapult them to a playoff and possible Super Bowl berth?
I don't know. I don't know if it will. I don't think it will. I think that's why he announced it, though. I think that's why he picked last week to say, "Hey, you know what, guys, this is going to be my last year," because they're in the hunt per se, and they got a tough schedule. And I think he was trying to pull the emotion out of the team. I think he was trying to say, "Hey, let's win this one for the Gipper" type thing. It's not. I don't think it's going to work for him. I don't think that they are going to even make the playoffs, let alone make a run in the playoffs. And it sucked because you look at a guy like Big Ben. I've watched a guy like Big Ben play his entire career, and he's just one of those guys who came in a time where you had Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, and all of them going at it time after time, and he kind of got left out in the dark, right? Nobody, if you ask somebody to pick the top 5 quarterbacks over the last 10 years, nobody's going to talk about Ben Roethlisberger, and he's won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where he gets left out of it. So it would be nice to see him get at least into the playoffs and get a chance to go for another ring. I just think he's done. I think he was done. I think he was done last year. It just wasn't, when they started out 12-0 and then finished 12-4 and went out in the first round. I thought that was it for him then.
Right.
But it's a good try by Big Ben. I just don't think it's going to do what he thought it was going to do.
Yeah, and if you saw the emotion after the Ravens lost, that was like his Super Bowl almost, Combs. Like, that was just like him just like letting out that breath of fresh air, the emotion, like everything rolled out of him after that Baltimore Ravens win. It was kind of like when who was it? It was Drew Brees and Jameis was on the sideline like, "Hey, this is your team now." And I wonder if Ben Roethlisberger didn't have that conversation with a Mason Rudolph or a Dwayne Haskins after that game, after that Baltimore game, like, "Hey, this is your team now because I got my last win." Now, to say that, you want to see him just make it to the playoffs just to end on that quote high note. I would rather have them not make the playoffs and win that last game in Baltimore and knock the Baltimore Ravens out of the playoff. Now, that would be a career solidifying win. Like, hey, we knocked out the big mighty #Ravens flock out of the playoffs, Super Bowl MVP, whatever, right? And then, like, wouldn't that be a great way to end a career?
That would be a great way to end a career. Who the hell wins that division then?
It is going to be Cincinnati. Cincinnati is going to win that division. Like right now, they are 7-4, second in the division. Or sorry, they're 7-5, second in the division. They have a fairly favorable schedule moving forward. They play the 49ers, Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, and then Browns. So it is more favorable than the Ravens. So if it's anybody, it is going to be like, if it's not Cincinnati, we might be looking at Pittsburgh Steelers winning this division because I don't think the Ravens have it. So shoot.
What about the Browns?
Let's look. So the Browns right now are sitting at 6-6, last in the division.
They got the Ravens, Raiders, Packers, Steelers, and Bengals.
Man, they all got tough last 5 games though.
Yeah.
Looking at it in hindsight here, I would say Cleveland would have the easier schedule because they do have the Ravens at home this week. The Raiders suck right now. The Green Bay Packers will probably have their division locked up by week 7 or by that week 16 game. So
tomorrow.
Yeah, so like I don't even know if they're even going to be playing that full game. The Steelers would be on that emotional high Monday night game at Pittsburgh. That's going to be a very tough game. So I would say the Cleveland Browns have the easier road, but the Bengals and Browns are both bipolar. You know, we don't know which
Monday
team's
night
gonna,
game for the Steelers is also going to be Big Ben's final home game.
yeah. So
that is going to be a very emotional game for the Steelers.
Yeah.
A very tough game for the Browns to go in and win. Man, it's going to be a fun division to watch down the stretch, right? I mean, you probably look at it realistically and say that's the Ravens' division to lose.
it is.
But when I look at the Ravens' schedule going down the stretch, I think that they very easily could lose this division. I don't think that they are going to go in saying, "Oh yeah, you know what, we got this," because they've got the Browns, Packers, Bengals, Rams, and Steelers. I mean, it's a tough stretch for this entire division over the last 5 games.
Wow.
Man,
They all play the Chiefs to end the season and another West team and the Broncos or the Raiders, and then it's all division games after that. Wow, that is tough.
It's going to be fun to watch down the stretch. These are going to be head-to-head matchups are really going to decide what this division is. And you know, a team that everybody started to count out, right, including myself, as the Cleveland Browns. They could absolutely, if they handle their business, they could still find a way to win this division, like a lot of people expected them to this year.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, Combs, this is anybody's division to win and everybody's division to lose, just because if you look at it, they all have a very tough schedule. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the winner of this division will be battle tested and they will make it to the AFC Championship game.
Man, the AFC is loaded. I don't think it depends on the seeding. I mean, I'd have to see the seeding.
Right.
I don't
obviously.
think either. Yeah, I don't think any of these teams are going to beat New England. I don't think any of these teams are going to beat Kansas City. They might be able to beat the team that comes out of the South. I don't think they would beat Buffalo either. So I think they might be able to win the wild card game, but I don't think they'd be able to go anything beyond that.
Do you want to hear some truth here? I mean, this is me as a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I don't want to play anybody in the AFC North, Combs. I don't want to play the Ravens in the playoffs. I don't want to play the Browns. I don't want to play the Steelers. I don't want to play the Bengals. I don't want to play anybody from the AFC North. I would rather play the Bills, the Titans, or the Patriots in the first round game, just because you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say I don't want the Ravens in the playoff game, right? Because to your testament, the one thing you always say when you say Lamar is trash is that he can't win in January.
But at the same
they won a
time,
game last year.
There you go.
But it's not. They're not the same team in January that they are throughout the regular season, and that's been proven over the last 3 years. So it's interesting. It's an interesting take. If it's me, I don't want to see the Patriots. Out of all the teams in the AFC, I don't want anything to do with the Patriots. With that defense, I don't want to see them in the playoffs.
So here is the reason why I would rather see the Patriots, because you kind of know what you're going to get. You are going to get them smashing the ball down your throat, a strong defensive game, and they're only going to pass the ball when they need or when it's wide open.
They're going to do it, though. That's the thing.
Right.
You know it's coming. They're still going to do it to you.
Yeah, but you don't know what you're going to get from Cincinnati. Are they going to put up 85 points on you, or are they going to fall over the ball 18 times? You don't know. So, or you don't know what you're going to get from Lamar Jackson. Is he going to say F the playbook and I'm going to run the ball every play? But, I mean, like, there are certain teams that you know what you're going to get. Whether you can stop it or not, that's a story for a different day. But when it comes to game planning and knowing what to expect, you know the Buffalo Bills are going to throw the ball 85% of the time. They are going to rush the ball 6 times to get about 36 yards, right? Worry about the passing game. For the Patriots, you know it is going to be a very defensive-heavy game. You are going to be in a slugfest. What are you going to get from the Steelers? What are you going to get from the Browns, Bengals, Ravens?
Right.
You don't know. So, but we will talk about that much more in depth here, guys, moving forward. But Combs, it is time for your segment here, the special time of night. It is time for Shop Talk, guys. We are opening up Shop Talk here at youtube.com/Man Hour. At the end of every show, we open up the floor to ask you guys, or you guys ask us any questions that you would like. So the chat, it has some questions in there. And Combs, are you ready to get into it, or do you need a little breather?
No, let's do it.
Let's do it, man. So One Pride 40, big shout out to him. We brought him over from the dark side. We let him join Man Hour crew from Luke G's show there. Luke G's show was awesome, man. I enjoy it so much being over there. But he says he sees the Detroit Lions winning 2 or 3 more games for the rest of the season, and I believe he had Atlanta, Seattle, and somebody else. So it's Denver, Atlanta, and Seattle. He sees them beating those 3 teams. What do you think?
Who's that?
The Detroit Lions. The 11-7 Detroit Lions. Sorry, that came out of my mouth very, very raunchy.
Yeah. Man. This team is another one that's hard to figure out. Now, my question to One Pride 40, who is obviously a Lions fan, do you want them to win those games? Or are you saying they're going to win those games because they're the Lions and they've been so bad, now they're going to screw up the number 1 draft pick as well?
So we talked about this with Luke G on his show last night. If you guys are not subscribed to Luke G, look for him on YouTube. I will post his YouTube channel below here. But Luke G says he does not want the number 1 overall pick because they need defensive help. They need wide receiver help, so they can get their guy at 3, 4, and 5 still.
I completely disagree with Luke G right now.
Me too. Because
here's why. The picks right now, I believe it is the God, who's the other team out there that's got 2 picks? There's 2 teams out there in the top 8 that are gonna have 2 picks.
So
in the top 8.
So the Eagles, Giants, and Jets all have 2 or 3 picks in the first and in the first 15 picks. Yep.
So you take that number 1 pick, and you can. I'm telling you right now, man, take it to the Jets, and be like, look, I know you've got 3 and 4. I'll give you 1 for 3 and 4, and the Jets are gonna be like, okay, here.
But who do they take though? I mean,
I
don't know.
I'm just telling you, the value of the number 1 pick this year is worth more than what you're going to take at the number 1 pick.
Not this
year.
The
value of the number 1 pick is a good pick for the Lions. I don't know if you want them to do it. God, will they win those games? I think that they can beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks are really bad. I don't think they can beat the Falcons. I don't think they're going to beat the Broncos this week either. The Broncos are a good team, and they're fighting for a playoff spot. Right. And you're in Denver. That's a tough place to play, man. It's outside. You play in a dome. It's in the thin air of Denver. A lot of guys don't transition well when you only get to be there for a couple of days. I just don't see it. So I'm going to say no. Maybe one of those games, maybe. But I just don't see it.
All right, Combsy. Are you ready for this? One Pride Nation. Hashtag One Pride. All the Detroit Lions fans out there. All the Atlanta Falcons fans. Everybody that hates the Arizona Cardinals, rise up right here. You know why, Combsy? You want to know why? Listen closely there, big guy. The Detroit Lions are going to finish the season 6-10-1. They're not going to lose a game for the rest of the season, Combs. They're going to beat the Broncos at Mile High Stadium. They are going to beat the Arizona Cardinals, the best team in the NFL. They're going to come in Detroit and wax bad baby. They're going to wax that ass, Combsy. Then they're going to go down to Mercedes-Benz Dome at Atlanta Falcons. Whoop that ass. They're going to beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks don't even have a defense anymore. Jamal Adams is out for the year because he has sand in his vag. And the Green Bay Packers will have the division locked up, so they're not even going to play who was the 4th-string quarterback? Joe Blow from Costco. 6-10-1, baby. Mark it down. 6 wins in a row for the Detroit Lions, Combsy.
And this is how you know that they're not even going to win another game, because this is how Buck talked about them being 11-5 too. This is exactly how Buck talked, or sorry, 11-6 is how Buck talked about them.
Yeah.
This is how high he was on them. He's high on them again. In one Pride 40. I sorry to say it, buddy, but they ain't winning another game now. Buck just told you that.
Flex on them, baby. Flex on them. So the next question comes from Drew. Our man Drew. Drew is a member here. If you see that little beautiful Man Hour logo next to his name, because he clicked the join button, and Drew is registered to win a trip to Las Vegas here in April. Drew says, do you think the Bucks and Pats are on a collision course for the Super Bowl? So I believe it was ESPN. We had a show with Luke G yesterday talking about analytics, and the analytics say that Bucks and Pats will play in the Super Bowl. Combs, do you want to see that Super Bowl? Like, how bad do you want to see it, if at all?
Hey, look, I would like to see it. I think it'd be fun to watch. I think all of the drama leading up to it, Bill versus Tom, I think it would all. I think it would be great to talk to. I think it would be great for what we do here on the Man Hour. If it doesn't happen, I'm all right with it too. Like, I would love to see a team like the Arizona Cardinals, go up against a defense like the New England Patriots, or a team like the Buffalo Bills, or even the Kansas City Chiefs. I would like to see it. To me, the Chiefs and Cardinals would probably put on the best show. That could end up being a 55-54 Super Bowl. So or it could end up being a 55-20 Super Bowl if the Kansas City Chiefs can't figure out their damn offense. But I would be all right seeing that Super Bowl, Tampa Bay versus New England.
The only reason why I would say, because it would make for great content here on the on the Man Hour, but I would be so sick and tired of the Bill Belichick versus Brady versus Bill. Who is better? Who needed who? I'm already sick of it now. I was sick of it week 4 of the NFL season, right? But do I want to see that Super Bowl? Absolutely not, because I don't want to see Tom Brady in another freaking Super Bowl. Have you watched that ESPN thing?
I'm waiting for it to finish so I can binge watch the whole thing.
Yeah, so Cindy and I watched the first episode, and watching it makes me like Tom Brady. It pisses me off because I want to hate him so bad for being so great, but then he says stuff. I'm like, man. And then like Sandy's like, I've never heard him cuss before. I'm like, have you never seen him on the sideline? He's always cussing out people. Was like, yeah, but I've never heard it. He says it so softly. Like, so Tom's like talking, and he's like, oh, fuck, I hurt my fingernail. Or it was something so soft and so dumb, right? But do I want to see the Pats and Bucks? No, because I don't want to hear the storyline for 2 weeks. I gotta want to hear it. Well, yeah, it's 2 weeks, right? Between the last game and the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear it. What do I want to see? I want to see the Buffalo Bills make 4 straight Super Bowls again and lose all 4. That is what I want to see. What AFC team I would like? I want to see a wild card team make it. Like the 49ers. I would like to see the 49ers, because we had them written off this season. They started, 0-3 or 0-4. We're like, these guys suck. Yeah, and like they're playing great football right now. And I would love to see them, make the Super Bowl and then get beat again. But that's besides the point. So obviously my dream Super Bowl would be the Cowboys versus Chiefs, just because like I think that would be a great matchup on paper and on the field.
5 favorite teams?
No, just because if you think about it, both defense are playing really well. Both offenses have elite offenses. Both big name quarterbacks. There would be so much to talk about, and it would be fun to watch. Who is your dream?
If the Chiefs play the Packers, in the Super Bowl, do you have to sleep on the couch? Cindy's a Packers fan.
She is a Packers fan, and she hates Patrick Mahomes with a passion, so probably.
Yeah. My dream Super Bowl is, obviously it would be a Bears Super Bowl, one in which they play.
This year.
Yeah. This year for a dream Super Bowl, I guess For me, it'd be Arizona and either Kansas City or Buffalo.
Who is your first one? Arizona and who?
Arizona out of the NFC, and either Kansas City or Buffalo.
Yeah. That would be fun. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I don't think the Patriots could do enough offensively. I with the Arizona Cardinals defense, I think that the Arizona Cardinals offense could do a little bit more against that Pats defense. That's why I really don't think. I think both of the offenses out of Buffalo and Kansas City, if they can figure it out and right the ship, can both get into a shootout with the Arizona Cardinals.
So let's say you're Larry Fitzgerald. He spent like 18 years there. He was there forever, right? The year after he retires, they go and win the Super Bowl. Do they have to give him a Super Bowl ring? Just like, hey, here you go, man.
He's gonna get one. Yeah, he's gonna get
man.
one. I really wish he would have just came back for one more. I said this at the end of last year. I wanted him to come back for one more year because I really felt like they had a chance to win the Super Bowl. And he's a guy you could really, really root for, you know. But yeah, I mean, he'll get a ring.
Yeah. So One Pride 40 says, honestly, I hope we do get the first overall pick because he does not want to be forced to take one of the defensive ends. So jumping back to the draft here. And then Michelle says, hashtag Combs can't go to Vegas. And then I put hashtag please. And Michelle's like, okay, fine. Since I like you, Buck. So Combs, boys trip.
Hashtag Combs goes where he wants to go.
Oh, hashtag.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah, you are 40, but she also wears the pants in the family. Let's just be flat out honest.
Hey, I just got grounded.
You did.
I can't go.
Go put the lights back up. So Alpha Rob says he would like to see the Bills versus Packers in the Super Bowl.
She's about to turn off the internet.
Uh-oh. Was that why it's all glitchy? Alpha Rob says he would like to see the Bills versus Packers. That'd be a good one, right?
Yeah, I never want to see a Super Bowl that involves the Packers, so I can't go with you there. I do want to see the Bills back, and I think that fan base they just deserve to finally see one, right? Not just see a Super Bowl, but see a Super Bowl victory. Like I will heavily root if they're not playing the Arizona Cardinals. I will heavily root for the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl.
So let me ask you this question: if it is a Packers Chiefs Super Bowl, who are you rooting for? Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Like so you don't have like a division fandom at all, like just been like, hey, since the Bears lost to the Packers twice, like I'll root for them to win.
Fuck the Packers. I don't want to see the Packers ever win. I want to see the Packers go out in the NFC title game again. I want to see Wyatt and Torrey cry all over their Cheerios. I want to see the Packers go down in flames, but I will root for the Buffalo Bills. Actually, now I come to think of it, I actually picked the Bills to beat the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl preseason. You know what? I will root for the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
Go Bills! Bills Mafia!
Go Bills!
Hey, if the Bills win the Super Bowl, let's set up tables and we'll all jump through them.
No.
Okay. Hashtag Combs can't go to Vegas now because that's what's going to happen. One Pride says I would like the safety from Notre Dame. Combs, you're a Notre Dame guy. Who is he referring to in that safety? Do you know?
Notre Dame's got a couple of really good safeties. I'm trying to think of which one he might be talking about. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna pull up their depth chart.
And then while you're looking it up, I'm going to read a couple more comments here. Drew says, no, Combs does wear the pants, but Michelle controls the zipper.
That's true.
Very, very true.
That's also a very true statement. He could be talking about Houston.
It's a family show. Oh, sorry.
Or he could be talking about DJ Brown. Either one of those are going to be good picks. Jesus. But yeah, I think Houston Griffith would be a great pick for them, or DJ Brown would definitely be a good pick for anybody. I think both of those guys are going to have really good NFL careers.
Alrighty, guys. So that is going to be it for the Man Hour tonight, guys. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same location, 8 p.m. East Coast time, right here on YouTube.com. If you missed any part of the show whatsoever, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon as we do upload the clips each and every day over there. I got behind at work today, so I didn't get anything uploaded today. So I'll give you like 25 clips tomorrow because I have like 517 clips I need to upload. Fun fact. So Combsy, send us out, big guy.
Man Hour Nation, rise up.